Hello everyone, Emmerron here. So, we're on the eve of a brand new release for Cyberpunk, and I could not be more excited. I have so much to talk about with all of you, but that will have to wait for tomorrow. For now, I figured it'd be time for us to recap everything we've heard about publicly so far, insofar as I can remember, pull up the details for you and cite them, because I have been told that I may have made a bit of panic happen earlier this week with a decision to try and do some shorts for this topic. That did not go over so well, so this is my attempt at making good on that. So we will cover absolutely nothing in this video that has not been said publicly in some form, whether that be in an interview, in a preview document, an article, the Artalsorian Discord. Somewhere publicly there exists record of every single thing that I am about to say. And if for any reason I have missed something and you are screaming at me down in the comments right now because you're like, Emmerron, but this got discussed in this other interview. I have not been able to focus on all of the interviews happening at once. It has been a very busy few weeks here. So forgive me if I missed something that was publicly discussed. I promise you, before next week is over, there will be plenty for us to talk about. And I will probably not miss a single detail that I stand a chance of missing in this video. I want so much to talk about everything with all of you, and we will get into that discourse here next week. And I've got a couple things lined up for between now and then as well. So, without further ado, let's begin by looking at some of the things that have been released on Artalsorian's website. All right, everyone. So, again, I will put links to all of the things I'm about to cite. I will put them in the description of this video. Again, my goal is to prove to all of you that nothing that I am saying right now has been taken from anything but a public record. I do not want anyone to think I am leaking things. That is not my goal here. So I think I preambled about that enough, but let it be known, this is all publicly available information. All right, so let's start from the beginning. So first, we have about a month ago, the Cyberpunk Edgerunners mission kit was put to print. We've gotten details here about what is in the kit itself. We know it is going to be a box set that is consistent of 3 books, along with a couple of other handouts. We have the Edgerunners handbook, the rulebook, and the jacket. The Edgerunner handbook here is a lore book curated to give you the details needed to survive Night City, handpicked by the creator of Cyberpunk, Mike Pondsmith. Great guy. Really like you, Mike. Next one, we have the rulebook, exactly what you need to play the game, from the classic Friday Night Firefight to 2070 era guns, cyberware, and quick hacks. And finally, the jacket, a full-length mission for your crew to play, find out what happens after the anime ends. We also get 7 Edgerunners pre-made to let you jump into the action, featuring art by Cyberpunk Edgerunners director Hiroyuki Imaishi. This is, we know the Edgerunners we are going to be getting is everyone pictured here, plus the tech is the other one, I believe, that is not pictured. And that's based on several previews we got out of Gamma, courtesy of the Artalsorian game staff, as well as, I believe it was Bell of Lost Souls or Dice Breakers. It was one of the media outlets. They posted a few pictures of several of the Edgerunner character sheets, which is how we know that these are the artworks that correspond to those. The only 3 roles we are not getting any kind of pre-made character sheet for are the exec, the lawman, and the media. Makes sense. Those 3 power brokers of the city are pretty much in the best spot they've ever been by the end of the 2070s, which is kind of where this is starting to take place. And there's really no reason to put them into an introductory Edgerunner game. That said, we know that these are just the pre-mades. We will have to wait and see what happens within the kit itself. It's quite possible that there will be some other things to talk about there. Further detailed here, the Cyberpunk Edgerunners mission kit is played using the Cyberpunk Red rule set, the latest version of the Cyberpunk TTRPG. Any of you who are coming just from the anime or just from the video game, you are going to, some of you I think, be amazed to know this game has been around as a tabletop role-playing game since the 80s. This game has been around forever. And Red came out a little more recently. It came out in 2020, so we have plenty of content. You'll find plenty of it here on my channel, but there's also plenty of book content and a bunch of free articles that Artalsorian Games puts out every single month on their website, which we are browsing right here. So those articles have expanded this game, so the fact that this is just further layering something else on top of it is wonderful. I am so glad, because Red is so easy to understand, especially if you're coming from another fantasy-themed TTRPG like Dungeons & Dragons. You're going to have no time, I think, catching up with this. And if they're just adding some extra systems or detailing some extra rules on top of that and making that the basis for the Edgerunner kit, 100% behind it. Really excited to see what this looks like. The planned release date for the Cyberpunk Edgerunners mission kit is mid to late June. We now know this has been updated, and I'm sure we will cover this in just a little bit later in the video when we go through some of the frequently asked questions over in the Discord. But we now know, as after this was published, that Artalsorian Games now has it for pre-order on their website. DriveThruRPG has the digitals available on theirs. The physical, as detailed here, is $35. The digital over on DriveThru is $15 for the PDF alone, and I believe it's $20 for a bundle with the PDF copy of this and a bundle to run it on Roll20. So those being what they are, you're going to be able to, pre-order those. June 21st is the digital release, and physicals are going to begin shipping on Monday the 24th. So we are right around the corner here. Next Friday, almost a week from when I should have this video up, is when we are looking to finally have access to this whole thing. And I'm extremely excited about it. This is a big part of how I became so immersed in Cyberpunk. I was weird. I got into Red before 2077 came out. I had no real anticipation for 2077 until the very last year of its development. So I was the weird one who got in through Red, through the Jumpstart kit, and then later on found my way into the video game and Edgerunners, and this kind of completes full circle for me. So I could not be more excited for this. So we've covered the very first article. Let's move on to the next one. So now we're going to get a look at the jacket booklet within the mission kit. So one of the things here, and I believe we'll see this over on the FAQ, but we know each one of the books is roughly 40 pages, plus or minus. And they may break down exactly how many in the FAQ. Again, I believe Jay talked about this one specifically with us. I believe he said was 42 pages in our interview with him. Again, that's up here on my channel. You can go back, you can watch that. If I'm wrong, that is entirely just because it is like 2 in the morning as I'm recording this. My brain's not at optimal efficiency, and the interview itself was a few weeks back now. So, bottom line, this is the new mission. So the jacket is going to be our mission. It is going to, from everything we've heard, provide an epilogue of sorts, it sounds like, to the anime, though we do know we're not playing as David's crew or anyone involved with them directly. We are instead playing as the pre-made characters in the box, which we have also been told, I believe, are going to have their own life paths. A recent interview with Jay Gray confirmed that, where he actually unfurled one of the folio character sheets that are going to be included in this, and showed how one side of it has all the life path good that we've come to expect from Red. So I am really interested to see, how that can factor in here. We have gotten pre-generated character sheets before for things like easy mode, that it sounds like followed the same logic, where a character's role ability by and large was simplified for the product to make it easier to kind of get into and wrap your head around. I know many of the roles in Red could get fairly complicated if you're not careful, and if you're not well acquainted with the way the game is supposed to work. It can be a little confusing at first, but I've taught a couple of different people through Start Playing and other avenues how to play the game with full rules, so that shouldn't be a problem. If some of you, I think, want to pull this out and actually roll characters, that should be doable. But again, we'll have to wait and we'll have to, see how that works. I know that the pre-generated ones, we've been told, are built to work specifically with this. So it may be a good idea to run a game at least with that before eschewing that entirely to run with, custom characters, just because I don't know if that'll affect balance or whatever. But again, time will tell. Your table is yours. Every table is different, as Rob Barefoot likes to say. And I'm inclined to agree with him. If it's something that works at your table, all power to you. GM Fiat rules, man. So go ahead. So let's go through this article. So let's introduce you to the jacket, the adventure included in the new box set and starter kit. The expected length of game time to complete it, we put around 6 to 10 hours. I was actually just having a discussion with this tonight with some of the people over in Artel's Discord as we were watching the Acquisitions Inc. Live stream, the first episode that aired earlier tonight over on Penny Arcade's Twitch channel. So we are expecting 6-10 hours to complete it. This may not account for groups like mine that are very roleplay heavy. We're big roleplay enjoyers, so your mileage may vary. I think I remember Jake saying in an interview that they got it as high as 16 hours in some of the preview stuff they did, or some of the playtesting they did. So bottom line, you're probably looking at somewhere between 2 and 3 sessions, which will make that akin to something out of like Tales of the Red Street stories. Most of those took my groups about 2 or 3 sessions to get through. So that would be what I would say to go in expecting. If you really pull a long one, like if you're a marathon runner, kind of like I can be, where 8 hours can just kind of fly by with your friends IRL, and you are really enjoying your time, again, all power to you. This is just what we're getting as an estimate for it. So we know that the book of the jacket includes, okay, so it actually does give us the page breakdown here. So we get 30 pages of the mission itself, 8 pages of NPC stat blocks, and 2 pages of GM advice for new GMs. This is awesome to see that they are doing this. I know that one of the hardest things about GMing at all, really, like at a basic level, is understanding your role at the table, because it is such a different place to be in. It is so much more involved. Obviously, there's a lot of mental load you go through when you're running the game, because you're not just participating in the story like a player, you're also tracking things in the background. You're deciding, okay, the enemy force is moving from here to here. If the party encounters them here, then this will happen. If they don't, then, they won't take them on until much later, which by that time, they'll have acquired the MacGuffin or something. You're doing all that. The GM is effectively the CPU AI controlling everything in the background that a typical computer RPG like Cyberpunk 2077 or like Baldur's Gate or whatever those games just kind of handle for you. The GM is going to be doing all of that. So the fact that they've got 2 pages worth of advice for new GMs, and I believe Jay has talked about, they've kind of got some other stuff loaded in there as well, where they're talking about the setting and themes and things like that, so that the GMs kind of know what's going on and can set dress appropriately, and they can follow the logic in the story, because as we all know, sometimes those things aren't super obvious unless you are like really thinking it through. Why is this enemy here at this point in time, right? We can logic our way to it if we kind of know what's going on. And more experienced GMs like myself, we usually don't have much problem doing that if you've been doing it for a number of years. New GMs, this is a skill you'll build with time. It's really just practice makes perfect, and the fact you can't do it right out the gate, totally not a problem. That's why this is going to be such a wonderful, wonderful thing to look at here. So that being shared, though, that's only the technical aspects of it. What's really in the jacket and who's featured within will happen the moment you jump into the game. Guess I here not being Emmerron, this is written by Rob Barefoot, should give you a couple answers then. Don't worry though, I won't spoil any of the really good stuff. In the jacket, you and your friends will take control of any number of 7 newly created characters pre-generated for the mission. So again, this is where we were talking before about they are made just for this mission. These characters, I am guessing, based on what Jay has said in interviews, are going to be much more limited, and you're really not going to have much choice over things they're equipped with. You have the option to play as, for example, Maven here, who is the tech of the crew. This is Maven right here. You'll also meet Hardpoint, the Solo, and Blue Screen, the Netrunner, and many more. Now, so it's said you do not play as any characters from the Cyberpunk Edgerunners anime themselves. This whole adventure takes place after the ending of Cyberpunk Edgerunners. You already know what that means if you've seen it, and before the events of Cyberpunk 2077. I want to be sure to let you all know this. You'll be getting to know some new faces here. We did promise some old ones though, now didn't we? The jacket begins with, as most plots do, a call to a gig on the outskirts of Night City. You may recognize the fixers setting you up for this one. Know a Dakota Smith, and those of you who played 2077 will know she is the nomad fixer that handles jobs out in the Badlands. Well, she'll be sending you and your crew to a self-storage unit to meet the client himself. Certain getaway driver, he goes by the name of Falco. God, I cannot wait. We pre-tested this to not anything large at Gen Con last year. We were actually told very specifically the gig we played through, the events we played through, would not be representative of anything in the final product. As a matter of fact, I feel comfortable sharing this now because it is so far past that event and everything. The mission we were playing at the time was the one presented in the back of Danger Gal Dossier, the incident, with a couple of additional twists and turns that were adapted to make the narrative make sense in the wake of the Edgerunner show. So that all said, Falco featured quite prominently in that little test mission that we ran. So it's very cool to see that some of that may have held true. I'm not going to say much more about that aspect of it. All I know is by the ending, I was crying. Rob was actually our GM in the group I played with, and he was even crying a little bit by the end. Rob, I know you'll probably just throw things at me at Gen Con. Penance I will pay. That said, so from then on, it's safe to say all hell breaks loose on arrival. You get less than a warm welcome from a group that seemed to arrive in a beat-up old REO meat wagon ambulance. From there, it looks like you'll just have to handle business with this group of helpful employees, won't you? You'll be taken through many places in Night City, such as Mega Building H4, as you retrieve multiple stolen pieces of, let's say, sentimental value to this well-spoken client. The mission itself is wrote to also include multiple different endings, depending on your choices that you and your crew make as you navigate the dangers within. There are many, many things I'm leaving out. Of course, I'm only letting you in on the very first few moments in a single location you'll head to after all. Now remember, the Edgerunners mission kit is not a brand new edition of the rules, it is not a full source book, and it's run on our Cyberpunk Red version of the Cyberpunk tabletop role-playing game. It is a new box set and our new starter kit for Cyberpunk Red. If you're interested in giving it a try before the release, you can either head to this to download what we call easy mode. So yeah, all these are just links. Again, if you want to read this article yourself or visit these links, I've talked up and down about easy mode. Easy mode is fantastic, like absolutely insane, so good. Highly recommend. If you aren't sure you'll like Cyberpunk or you want to give it a try, maybe your D&D table is looking for something a little different, easy mode is up on DriveThruRPG, has been for a long time. They just recently, as a matter of fact, for those of you who are already Cyberpunk players but haven't had a chance before right now to get a physical copy of easy mode, they now have a print to order option on DriveThruRPG for the booklet. So highly recommend, if you haven't had the opportunity yet to give that a look. You won't regret it. If you're new to the game, it does a great job introducing things, and in a manner very similar to what Jay has said about the character sheets from this product. It gives you some simplified rules, and it gives you about half the roles to try in the starter kit, or not the starter kit, the easy mode. So you'll be able to get a taste of kind of what some of that looks like. So we're at the end of that one. So now we got to peek inside the rule book. So what do you say? Teach us some tricks if you want. Main to David, Cyberpunk Edgerunners. That's awesome. So, and you guys might have noticed on the last article as well here, by the way, all of these booklets are, I believe, new art. None of these are just screen grabs from the anime. They all appear to be brand new art, and they look very nice. I don't know if YouTube's compression is maybe getting that through to your screens the way I see it on mine right now, but I really love the artwork on the covers of these, and I am really excited again to kind of hold these in my hand when I can get my hands on a physical copy of this. And I may do an unboxing as well here on the channel when I get that, so that y'all can see kind of what the physical contents do look like. We know we're getting dice with the physical, obviously that's not with the digital, but from what we've been told, everything else that's in the physical box will be digitally available in one way or another. Even if some of them are things like token sheets that you have to punch yourself or whatever, and they're not going to obviously come on card stock, which is how the Jumpstart Kit tokens were delivered. But again, we will be getting that for less than half the cost if you're going the digital route. So also, fair point to mention this, this is part of Bits and Mortar. So if you do have a local retailer that you go through, a local game store that participates in the Bits and Mortar program, you can buy a physical copy of that through them. Jay has mentioned on the Discord a couple times now that retailers can already place orders for their kits. So if you do want to go to your local game store, assuming they haven't already ordered them, they can order these now, and they can get those into your hands complete with a PDF copy of the game as well. And you'll typically get that on like a receipt as a code, or it'll be emailed to you by them. That's the two ways that I've been told it typically happens. The only time I've had a chance to participate in it is via Artel Sorian directly at Gen Con last year for my copy of Danger Gal Dossier, but that process was incredibly smooth. I emailed them a copy of my receipt, Artel Sorian Games being them in this case, and then Artel Sorian emailed me back a code to go into Bits and Mortar and just download a PDF copy of Danger Gal Dossier. Super helpful, super awesome. So let's start talking about this article. So we're looking at the rulebook. We've all got to start somewhere, rookie, and with the Cyberpunk Edgerunners mission kit, we give you all you need to begin playing. Now, what is in the rulebook is everything you need to play the include mission, the jacket. You'll have the rules for combat skills, gear, and cyberware all in there. Thing is though, all of this comes from a foundation already long built by Cyberpunk Red. To get out of the way fast, because I know how excited everyone can get, let's go over what the included rulebook is not. First things first, it is not a core source book or a setting book. It is not an entirely new edition of either Cyberpunk Red, nor does it replace everything in Cyberpunk Red. If you want the full-on total rule framework, you need the core rulebook. The mission kit is as much of a standalone game as it is a starter kit. It gives you what you need to play through the mission kit, and that's that. So what's in it? Well, first, we'll be teaching you how to play the game itself. You can't play without knowing the rules first. We'll take you through the basics. Stats and skills are in there, complete with abbreviated descriptions to give you a quick rundown to be able to jump right in and know how to resolve skills. Combat is in there, of course, come on, as the rules, as well as the rules, for quick hacking and direct connection net running for you net runners. And no, this does not contain extended net running rules in the 2070s era. That'll be something for later down the line. This is just so you can be sure you can easily use the new quick hacks like Sonic Shock, Synapse Burnout, and System Reset. Now about the goodies, you know the guns and the chrome. Well, it's safe to say you've seen them in the anime, you've seen it, or you will see it, in the mission kit. Miltech M10AF Lexington, yep. Budget Arms Carnage, yep. Rostovich DB2 Sitara Shotgun, absolutely, and not stuck to the ceiling. You did not have to do my boy that dirty. You'll have to, you'll find the cyberware section packed too of familiar pieces. Can't go wrong with Gorilla Arms, Mantis Blades, and yes, since Jay Gray went and confirmed it on me, David's experimental Sandevistan is indeed one of the items in the kit. And no, I'm not saying anything about what it does, and if you go to Jay Gray to try to find out, you'll deal with me. At the end of the rulebook is a section dedicated to gear and weapon cards, meaning you'll have quick reference for when you're playing rather than having to keep flipping just to make it easier on everyone. But that's all I want to share for now. I definitely don't want to spoil anything about Chapter 3 here. That's all going to be something fun for you to see on release. For now, I leave you to it. There's a lot here, and I hope it sets a lot straight as well. If you have any questions, come to the ongoing discussion in our Discord. Please do. I am an admin over there now, and I have absolutely loved being part of that community in a more active way now. Some additional notes here, just for all of you. We've also been confirmed that Monowire and the projectile launch system are both also cyberware options in the kit as well. Jay Gray confirmed all of that in our interview over on Wireheads. Again, you can find that here on my channel. I will actually try to link that one down below as well, as it stands as much of a source as any of these articles do. And I believe it was maybe in the press release as well, which those of us who are considered media for the release of this got a copy of early on after the print announcement went live. So yeah, we do have that information to chew on as well. So basically all your ARMS cyberware from 2077 will have a representation here, and it'll be really interesting to see kind of how these look. I know that a lot of people were of the mind that Mantis Blades were just going to be embedded pop-up heavy melee weapons or something like that. And repeatedly, I believe we've been told that that is not the case over on the Discord. So we will have to wait and see what they are. All we know is that they're not as simple as just a basic melee weapon, cyberware weapon like a Wolver would be. We know that they're something more than that. All right. So with that out of the way, we come to the final article that they have published about sneak previews on the mission kit. So we've got a peek inside the Edgerunner mission kit, the Edgerunners Handbook. So this is the lore book. Here, training regimen, bare minimums you should know, no hand holding after today. If you're serious about this, you're gonna have to push hard to keep up. And then, who's it today, David? Cyberpunk Edgerunners. I think they engaged in more than just hand holding after that, but that's for those of you who have seen the anime. Those of you who haven't, you should. It's very good, and it'll make this all make a whole lot more sense if you've watched it, especially recently. I plan on rewatching it here in the next week in preparation, because I am ready for this. I'm so excited for this. All right, so to know the stakes, you need to know the streets. The final book in the Cyberpunk Edgerunners mission kit is exactly what will help you do that. The Edgerunners Handbook is the lore and setting book for what happens in the box, and well, even Mike Pondsmith's choice bits are in here. A tip, by the way, you may want to read the bottom of this article. You don't want to miss something important. Now, if I go into detail about what's inside, it'll spoil it all. So instead of just listing everything off, I'll give you a good rundown. Sounds good? All right. So first off, yes, this is going to have all the lore you need to run Cyberpunk Edgerunners mission kit gig, the jacket. And yes, that means what happens before. You get yourself a brief rundown of everything that's happened up to the point where you are in the setting, thanks to the lore within, which does contain a brief timeline covering the history from 1990 all the way up to 2076. So this means probably, and this is me speculating now, we will be getting some kind of timeline that exists, like we already do in the Red Book. We're probably going to get a little more detail, I would imagine, in the era between Red and 77, as that is currently the most content sparse timeline segment that we currently have. The World of Cyberpunk 2077 book, published by Dark Horse, that came out ahead of the game's release, only really covers the 2060s up through the game's timeline, so we don't get a lot of detail about the 2050s. We know there are several events referenced in 2077 that took place during that era, but we don't know all the fine points. So hopefully this fills in some of those blanks. I know I'm extremely excited to see kind of what that looks like. Yes, you'll get your timeline for all the goodies in between then and now. You'll also get a very solid rundown of tech, including a step that took the Chrome of the time of the Red over to what is now the 2070s era. If it needs to be filled in, it is in the mission kit. This includes Night City and its districts from Northside to Dogtown, and anyone living within that you may need to know a little bit about. And yes, this is where you'll be able to read the official backgrounds of the Edgerunners crew, from David Martinez to Dorio Gunner's daughter, from writer Bartosz Stybor. Now again, there's only a taste of what's to come in the 2070s era, so you shouldn't be expecting some giant source book here. You should not, be expecting some giant source book here. This is just the appetizer, so of course the big question is, when does this all come out? Comes out after the pre-order, of course. I'll fill you all on that later next week. What? I said to make sure to read to the bottom here. Aren't certain games with a planned pre-order for a product? Well, there's a first time for everything. Anyway, if you have questions, come to the server. Yeah. So again, I covered this already a little bit before, but we now know the release date for everything is digital 21st. Shipments of the physical are scheduled to start on the 24th, barring anything weird happening on shipments. And you can pre-order it as of right now. So this was obviously written before that, but this is the last kind of article on their website proper that gave us details around this. So this is what we know from this. Now, let me take you over to DriveThruRPG, where we are going to pull up the preview document that is available over there for the mission kit, as that has a couple of choice selections from the book that we can talk about. So let me go ahead and pull that up here for us. All right, everyone. So this is the preview available on DriveThruRPG. As you can see right here, I've pre-ordered it. This is just a basic README that's just like, hey, thank you for pre-ordering. This is coming out on this day. You know, everything I've already talked about. You can get this up by clicking any of these buttons over here just under the box art. I believe I clicked Alt Preview to get the one I'm about to show you, but I believe it gives you the same either way. It's just a matter of kind of how it pops up, I think. So this is, like I said, just a couple of choice selections from around the rulebook. Or not just the rulebook, but all three of the books, I do believe. Along with a map too, we get to look at some of the pretty art. So this is, as far as I am aware, the intro page, I believe, for the box itself. That basically is just like a rundown, because we got one like this in the Jumpstart kit that just gave us a detail of everything that was in here. As a matter of fact, yeah, introduction sheet and introduction to the game. You're reading it right now. So yeah, this is our intro sheet. I believe this has just been given to us in full based on what I'm seeing here, because it's got the cast, crew, playtesters, beta testers. You might want to look down there to see all who worked on this. I'm not saying anything more than that. But this is just basically a quick rundown of like what is Cyberpunk, what is a tabletop role-playing game, what's in the box. So I'm not going to cover any of the early sections except for the what's in the box, because I think that this will be a nice little rundown for everyone who is interested, kind of knowing what we're about to get. So the rest of this is, if you've been with the game a while, this is going to make sense. If you haven't been with the game yet, this is going to be in a lot of the products they produce, including this one, which is built as a starter kit, so I highly recommend you buy it. Or, I mean, you can pause the video and probably read over it as I kind of scroll up and down it. But that said, let's begin with the contents of the box that we are expected to get. You'll find the following inside Cyberpunk Edgerunners mission kit. Dice and plastic feet are not included in digital versions, of course, because they're digital. So you get an intro sheet, this one. The Edgerunners Handbook. There's a lore book that explains more about Night City and the world of Cyberpunk. Everyone should get at least skim it to get a basic grasp on the setting. The rule book. The rules you need to play the game. We recommend everyone read it, but it's especially important the GM to absorb the information presented. I've always said this, GMs, there's a bit of an aside, but if you know the rules, your players need to know far less about them, as long as they know the really basic stuff like resolving skill checks and stuff and how that's supposed to work. Everything else can follow as like a teaching sort of lesson for them at the table. I've had tons of success doing that. So yeah, basically just get your players just a little familiar with the rules ahead of time. Let them know, again, like, we roll D10s for our checks. We roll multiples of D6 for our damage. And, give them an example of like basic math that you would do to resolve a check, all that stuff. Really, really easy to grasp. But yeah, this is definitely good for you, the GM, to know, as you're kind of the leader at the table in a lot of cases in terms of arbitrating rules. Many older editions of Cyberpunk call you the referee. That role hasn't really changed. The term we used to refer to it has changed. That's about it. We've got the jacket, a full-length mission set in the world of Cyberpunk. This is the adventure you'll be playing. Only the GM should read it. We have the Edgerunner sheets, the information players will need to play one of the 7 Edgerunners provided in this box. Dice, the dice you'll need to play the game. The rules use 10-sided dice, D10s, to determine the result of actions taken, and 6-sided dice, D6s, to determine weapon damage. An Edgerunner symbol. So this is an ER symbol. If I had thought about it, I would have grabbed some of my prototypes for this that I have from PAX U back in December, because we were distributing them there. I was part of Artal's volunteer staff for that event. So I was handing them out all weekend long. I had pockets full of them that I was just slowly distributing out to people as I came across them. So yeah, an Edgerunner symbol symbolizes the maximum value for whatever die you're rolling. So it'll be your 10 on your D10s and a 6 on your D6s. The dice that I have here have a different symbol, but it follows the same logic. So these are the black on yellow Cyberpunk dice. I can just shade it from my ring light real quick there. So you can see, like, that's what the D6 top face looks like. Come on, there we go. Beautiful. And then this is what the D10 top face looks like. There we go. Beautiful. So yeah, those are going to be similar, I think, to what we expect. The prototype ones I know that we got at at PAX U last year were, I believe, made by Q Workshop. They certainly look like all the other Q Workshop die that I have for Cyberpunk, so it wouldn't shock me if that were the case. Next, we'll get a set of maps useful for laying out the action in the jacket so that everyone can better understand what's happening during the game. Again, in the Wireheads interview that we had with Jay Gray, we talked about what that was going to look like. I believe he said there were a total of 8 maps. I believe 8 was the number. 6 of which were full-on maps, where like they're actual battle maps, that you'll use in the scenarios within the box. And then the next one was a map of Night City circa 2076, and on the other side of that would be a blank battle grid, just in case you need one. And he said that the reason they put those two together was simply so that if you wanted to hang your copy of the Edgerunner Night City, city map somewhere, you weren't missing out on much by having that blank side faced against your wall. The token sheet, it says sheet of standees, rectangular punch-outs with character portraits on them, and tokens, circular punch-outs with symbols on them. You'll use these during play, placing them on the map to represent the locations of Edgerunners and other characters. Finally, plastic feet to use with the standees from the token sheet. So yeah, we know that all of the Edgerunner character tokens are going to be proper standees. And then I believe we've seen a preview here, if I remember right. So yeah, we've got a really, really basic image here of what these are going to look like. Again, this is like super crunchy JPEG low res. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we've got 8 and 9. I'm kind of curious what those are going to be. I think 8 here is Falco. That looks like the pose of the Falco we saw earlier. This JPEG to shit monstrosity might be Atom Smasher. I believe we saw some speculation in the Discord that might be Atom Smasher. If Atom Smasher is part of this, holy shit, that's going to be crazy to have a set of stat blocks for him finally. The next couple things we have here, just looking at this, these, just based on that Triforce, or the tri-pointed look, I believe those are Arasaka. These definitely look like Edgerunner logos. Not sure what that one is. That looks like a Mox logo. And I'm not sure what these are, or what these are. These might be... those might be NCPD. I recently looked at that logo for an episode of Neon Inferno, my actual play, and those are vaguely shaped and are the right color for the NCPD's logo. And then, yeah, here we can see the absolutely crunchy JPEG version of the Edgerunner map. So yeah, and then this is what the... Oop, I meant to go this way, not out. This is what the character sheets are going to look like too. We kind of get a preview of that. And I believe we get a bigger preview of this, I think, in the actual PDF here. So once we get through all of that, we've got a Scott glossary of TTRPG keywords. Again, I'm not going to cover that right now. Most of that is going to be stuff that you can read if you're unfamiliar with any of these terms. These are not street slang terms, which is something we have as a chapter in the core rulebook. They may explain some street slang terms. I would kind of be surprised, honestly, if they didn't. In one of the books, probably I would have to imagine either the rulebook or the Edgerunner's handbook, just given that that's typically where things sit. Then again, we have the whole cast and crew here that worked on this, from the writers and designers like James Hutt, Jay Gray, and Mike Pondsmith, all the way down to the people who play tested and beta read this thing. Again, Jay Gray made a point of saying this on Twitter, I think it was 2 weeks ago, that these should always be read and understood, so that we know who all put their hard work into this. I agree. Not just because, I'm a big fan of these people in particular. These are all wonderful human beings. I have had a blast working with them at conventions, and I want to see them succeed more. But I believe, if I remember this right, and Rob, if you thought you'd get away from me hyping you, even after getting hired on by the mega successful Artel Soaring Games, this, I believe, is Rob's first credit in a Cyberpunk book, or box in this case, but same difference. First major Cyberpunk product he's had a credit in, so congratulations, Rob. You so deserve it, and I am so happy to be able to watch this thing come out with you. So here we have Something I believe this is indicating out of the Edgerunners handbook, just based on its placement. And then this is kind of talking about just the premises of some of things from the genre, the franchise, if you will. So some of the general rules here that we always follow in Cyberpunk: style over substance. Doesn't matter how well you do something as long as you look good doing it. If you're gonna blow it, make sure you look like you planned it that way. 2, attitude is everything. It's truth. Think dangerous, be dangerous. Think weak, be weak. Never walk into a room when you can stride in. Never stare at someone unless you can make it your best killer look. Use your finest I'm bad, you're not smile. Don't sit around waiting for the next job. Get out and hit the clubs and hangouts. Make sure you're there when the party starts. And 3, live on the edge. The edge is that nebulous zone where risk takers and high rollers go. On the edge, you'll risk your cash, your rep, and even your life on something as vague as a principle or as solid as a big score. As an edge runner, you want to be the action, start the rebellion, light the fire. Never drive slow when you can drive fast. Throw yourself up against danger and take it head on. Never play it too safe. Stay committed to the edge. And this is all told, by the way, before those, as kind of a little conversation between Mike, Maximum Mike, that's Mike Pondsmith's insert character, for those of you who are unaware already. You can listen to his sultry voice on the radio in Cyberpunk 2077 on Moral Rock Radio, where he does some fantastic conspiracy theory content in between Samurai and some other band's tracks from the game. But he kind of gives a rundown here of sort of what Night City is and why, you know, you're going to be a great edge runner. We get a preview of David Martinez's sheet. This is presumably the biography sheets that we're going to be getting on the edge runner crew in the back. So again, notice how there is no stat block associated with this. We have been repeatedly told we will not get stat blocks in the product for any of the edge runners that are in this biographical section. So this is something where we just get to see the backstory of David, and this is a fun one. I'm not going to read through it all right now. I don't want to spoil it. Maybe some of you have read it by pausing, and if so, you'll have more emotional impact than my sleep-deprived head can provide you right now anyway. So, but yeah, highly recommend reading through it. David's story is a very compelling one, and I think that the biography does him some justice. So now we get a little snippet of the rule book. We have chapter 3 here. This is the one, for those of you who have short memories, like I tend to sometimes. This is the one that Rob mentioned in one of the earlier articles we looked at. This is the one you didn't want to spoil anything from. So let's talk about this. So the 2070s are only a step away. Section is aimed at players and game masters who already own the Cyberpunk Red Core rulebook and want to adapt the rules from the Cyberpunk Edgerunners mission kit to their existing game. If that's not you, don't worry, you can skip this chapter. You don't need it to run or play the mission included in this box set. As for everyone else, the Cyberpunk Red Core rulebook's default time period is 2045, but if you want to play in the era of David and V, we understand, we love it too. And quick aside, I think once this comes out, there will be a lot of games that want to explore at least a minor departure probably from the 2040s just for a bit. Try something new, try something different, see what this all feels like when you extrapolate it out to the wider tabletop and with the wider rules than pre-generated characters typically allow for. So I'm personally extremely excited to see what's in this full chapter. For now, we have its kind of first page. So here are the rules you need to plug in. Here are the rules you need to plug what we're presenting in the Cyberpunk Edgerunners mission kit into your game and advance the timeline forward to the 2070s. There's more, of course, but we don't have space for it all, so those rules, weapons, cyberware, and gear need to wait for a bigger book. For now, these 5 things will get you moving in the right direction. First, we have neuroports. During character creation, every character can choose to install neuroport cyberware. If they do so, it is free of charge, costs 0 humanity loss, and doesn't lower maximum humanity, all of which represents a character's lifetime of experience getting used to it. Oh, and if they want to install any non-medical grade cyberware, they need a neuroport first. It is a requirement. Even old cyberware has been retrofitted to work with neuroports. So we are being told neuroports are big deals. We've seen these really sly little inclusions of their mention as well on several recent DLCs, as well as Going Metal, which was the add-on article to Interface Red Volume 3 earlier this year. So finally getting an idea of like, what are neuroports? What are they gonna do? We hear them mentioned a little bit in conversations in 2077 as well. We know that a lot of that seems to be, a driver at the bare minimum for some chipware stuff. That, like V puts the relic chip in one of their sockets from a neuroport. So we will have to wait and see how these work. It sounds like, to an extent, this is going to be something where it's a type of neuralware. But again, all of this has to wait. We aren't sure yet how the lore works or any of that. Next, in the 2070s, fixers gain the ability to source expensive items on a piece-by-piece basis, even when they are otherwise unavailable, starting at operator rank 1. So this means if you are a rank 1 fixer, you now, as of the 2070s, can find expensive items. So that's 500 eddies and up for those of you who don't know these by heart, like I do. I have a problem. I accept it. I'm not changing it. Next, at rank 4, they expand this reach to cover very expensive items, 1,000 eddies. And at rank 7, it expands to luxury items, 5,000 eddies. And at rank 9, it expands to super luxury, those of 10,000 eddies or higher. Execs, medias, and rocker boys gain the ability to source expensive items on a piece-by-piece basis, even when they are otherwise unavailable, starting at rank 4 in their respective role abilities. Lawmen gain the ability to source expensive items related to their job, weapons, armor, and other gear as determined by the GM, on a piece-by-piece basis, even when they're otherwise unavailable, starting at rank 4. Nomads gain the ability to source all vehicles and vehicle upgrades on a piece-by-piece basis, even when they're otherwise unavailable, starting at Moto rank 1. So Nomads, you will always be able to find vehicle upgrades in the 2070s. The vehicles matter, I think, a little bit less, just because of just how expensive they are. That said, you know where to get them, which is still very cool. Netrunners get the ability to quick hack cyberware as part of Interface. They gain access to all simple quick hacks, DV6 at Interface rank 1, all standard quick hacks, DV8 at Interface rank 2, all difficult quick hacks, DV10 at Interface rank 3, and all advanced quick hacks, DV12 at Interface rank 4. In addition, the scanner interface ability changes from a meet action to a net action. Finally, at rank 3 Interface, Netrunners automatically overcome the base level firewall defenses of a neuroport, no check needed. This last line is extremely interesting to me. I do not know what it means. I have my experiences from the Gen Con playtest last year to draw upon to guess at what that means. But again, we will find out. They've got the full rules for it. We can see here, page 26, probably of the rule book here. We'll explain it. So those of you watching this one in the future somehow, or for some reason, maybe you've come across it on my channel. If you already own this, that's where to look for the rules on this. So next, this one just talks about basic skill resolution. This is pretty much the same as we have gotten on most of the other products released. Both the core rulebook and the easy mode supplement both have a copy of this table explaining things more or less the same way. The one thing, and this is something that Dice, Rob Barefoot talked about earlier today, was this is new nomenclature, but they just are talking about things that we already are familiar with. So rather than calling a roll of a 10 on a d10 a critical success, or a roll of a 1 on a d10 a critical failure, they're now calling it an explosion or exploding dice. So when you roll a 10 on a d10 now, it's considered an explosion. You explode it up, and then you add that to your roll. Imploding dice is when you roll a 1, and then you roll another 1, and it implodes the number. And then, yep, again, here we get a less JPEG version of that same character sheet we saw in the earlier kind of image I was looking at. Something really fun is we do get to see a Mantis Blade here. We see it as a heavy melee weapon based on the damage. We get to see that it is excellent quality. It is ROF2. So already we are beginning to see some differentiation. And what a lot of people were worried this would be is just like a reskin of implanted cyberware pop-up melee weapon or something. It's not. This appears to be its own thing. And then we have an Arasaka HGSH 18 Masamune assault rifle. So there's a shoulder arms with auto fire. It's a power weapon. Fun. Auto fire times 4. Ammo 24. ROF 1. 5d6 damage. So again, pretty standard stats for an assault rifle. The magazine size is a little different. I think standard assault rifles in Red's base version are 25. So we'll see if that ammo count has anything to do with the way things work. I know, again, Gen Con last year, there were some reasons for that, but I ain't saying anything more than that. Considering very shortly there's going to be some answers to that, I am certain. Then we get this really beautiful look of a neon crosswalk. We were told by Jay all of the full color maps in this were done by Loki Battle Maps, which is very cool. I love Loki's work. I actually very, very recently, like within the last week, just got the my own copy of the giant book of Cyberpunk Battle Maps. Physically, I've had the digital version of them for a while because I play most of my stuff on Foundry, but I figured if I'm going to be running stuff in person, especially for this, that it probably would be prudent to have a copy of that lying about. So yeah, down here, same image that we had before. And I'm becoming increasingly convinced as we get to see a less JPEG version of this image. This is probably Atom Smasher. That looks very Atom Smasher. That looks kind of like the little turret gun missile launcher thing on the shoulder that he's got. We can also see some of the other tokens. So yes, these are definitely Arasaka. That is definitely Mox. We don't know what these are. It seems like a stylized MW. I could take my guesses. I will not. But this is a new logo. I don't think we've ever seen this one before. These definitely look more like the NCPD logo now that we've got them less JPEG'd. These are stylized Vs. So maybe Valentino's. That would be my guess. These kind of look like Valentino Vs because I believe we see these on buildings in 2077 as well. So you can, you know, we'll get that confirmed, I'm sure, you know, before too long here. And yeah, otherwise, cover art and then 3 books art that we've already gone over. And then this already kind of covers everything. So I believe this is the back of the box or something very similar if it's not a just straight preview image. But yeah, that is the Drive-Thru RPG preview. By far, this is, I believe, one of the most comprehensive looks at things we've gotten so far. Very exciting. Lots of really cool teasers in here. Leaves me really looking forward to seeing how this will all play out. So, with that said, let us go to the Discord. So I will go ahead and get us over there. All right, everyone. So here we have my head's covering the name of the channel, kinda-ish. You can see it right here. But this is the Cyberpunk Edgerunners Mission Kit FAQ. I would be here all night. I'm already here at 3 a.m. right now recording this. So I am not going to spend all night going through the full details of the Discord and, you know, what exactly we've been told in various chats and stuff. The really pertinent stuff has either been published here or in the articles that we already looked through. So we shouldn't be missing any context or any vital context to most of this. And that's something where if I am missing anything after this, it's going to be in some interviews, things like Neon Arcade or Kala were both interviewing. There was a, we have our own from the Wireheads podcast that we did with him. So ultimately, there's plenty of sources for you to find additional information. And as I understand it, there's kind of little tidbits here and there, kind of dropped breadcrumbs given by Jay. And Rob has had several mini heart attacks throughout the last few weeks as we've kind of seen this unfold, which has been a lot of fun to watch for me personally. So let's, without any further ado, start covering what's in the channel here. So first, the CEMK is a starter box, which means it's a complete product. You can buy it and play the included mission without owning anything else, including the Cyberpunk Red core rulebook. The base rules are those of Cyberpunk Red. Nothing has changed. What's in the CEMK is fully compatible with Cyberpunk Red. The new rules introduced with new weapons, new cyberware, quick hacking, and a few other surprises are again fully compatible with Cyberpunk Red. This means the CEMK can also function as a source book for Cyberpunk Red for those looking for 2070 era material. There was one mission in the CEMK. It has not been run at any convention. So again, lest you all think that I have somehow got an advanced look at the mission in that way, I have not. This was very much a beta version of some of the beats it sounds like they want to present in this. So it is a thick mission, and unless you're playing super speed, will require multiple sessions to finish. Highly recommend just spending more time with it, because honestly, chewing the scene is one of the best times in Cyberpunk. The atmosphere is immaculate, and I love every second I can spend just immersed in it. And then finally, the CEMK is not a new core rule system or an update to the existing Red rule system. This wording, I agree with what he means by this. I think obviously we're seeing that there will be some additional additions to the rule system that are granted by this, because we've got new systems like quick hacking and whatever direct connection net running ends up being. We will be getting some updates to the system via this, but it is not an overhaul of the system. It's not a new addition, right? Which is the spirit of, I think, what he's saying here. So I do want to just throw that out there as far as what I've observed from the previews we've gotten since, because obviously this was posted over a month ago at this point. So like this wording is accurate. Do not think that I am telling you anything else other than to take this at face value. But I do want to point out that we are getting some updates to the game. So it is worth keeping that in mind. So it's a good source for lore through the 2070s and the first stop for new gear and rules specific to the 2070s era. The MSRP is $35. Release date is set for mid to late June in our store and digital partners. Again, we now know what that is. It's probably going to be further down. 120 pages across 3 books, plus maps and pre-gens, source Jay Gray. On translations, we've only just confirmed it going to the printers. Translations is up to individual partners, or publishers rather. We're not answering any questions about the planned 77 setting book at this time. Yes, David Sandeviston is in the CEMK. No, we will not reveal further details about it. I am thankful that so many people are worried we'll sell out, and while to be fair, it's an extremely popular product. We'll just see what happens when it does drop. Remember though that there's no way we can predict sales. Even the core rulebook has sold out multiple prints. We know how popular this is, and we're taking steps that come from doing this as well for years. If we sell out, we order more to print, and there is no way a digital version will ever sell out either. Very true sage words. The thing that they've also done, and he might explain this further down, my understanding, I believe, is that they limited pre-order sales for physical copies of this to 2 copies per person. So you won't see scalpers trying to buy this out and like make everyone hate life under capitalism. They have taken efforts, as I understand it, to very much try and prevent that. So you will be able to buy a copy. If you have not bought your copy yet, I would recommend buying it ASAP just to make sure you have it. But Jay, even in our interview, said that they are not anticipating that the pre-order period will sell this out. They are fully anticipating that they will have copies to sell come Gen Con. They will have some things for a bit. So they were mindful of quantities and things like that. It sounds like, especially with this first order, knowing that people were dying to get their hands on it. So when we say Edgerunners crew backgrounds are in the Cyberpunk Edgerunners mission kit, we do mean the whole crew. The Cyberpunk Edgerunner mission kit will also be the first Artel Soaring Games product to be available for pre-order. They will be announced in the last week of May. And then finally, Cyberpunk Edgerunners mission kit pre-order will not only be for physical, I will now confirm digital version, and also the Roll20 module will be available for pre-order on their respective sites, DriveThruRPG and Roll20. This is a bit of early news for a future announcement when the date is. I will be including an article of my own later in the week. Be no bundles or early PDFs of pre-ordering the physical copy. So yeah, again, you pre-order either one, you are getting just, if you're doing digital, a page saying thank you for pre-ordering, giving you that kind of last page of what we looked through on the preview just now. And if you are ordering the physical, you're just going to get a receipt saying, hey, we're going to be shipping these. And I believe now you probably get the expected ship date of the 24th of June. So yeah, that's what we've gotten through the FAQs. So again, not going to go through. We're not going to cover every little podcast. I've spoken as things have kind of come up to what Jay discussed with us in our interview with him in Wireheads. And just because of the hectic nature of the last few weeks here, I've not had the time to keep up with every single other interview that Jay has given. But I know we have learned a ton through those interviews. So I highly encourage you to check out not just the Wireheads interview that I was part of with Diamond Dust, but that you also go out of your way to check out some of the other interviews that have circulated in the community. There are a lot of great creators out there who had a lot of really good questions, and Jay gave a lot of really interesting information, sometimes to the chagrin of Rob. Again, Rob, it's not that I like seeing you suffer. It's just really, really fun to watch you two banter on the Discord. So with that said, everybody, I think that is going to do it for this video. And when I put this live, tomorrow should be the first day we start hearing some new information. As I'm recording this, I know John the Wise, one of the largest creators in our community, has already got a preview scheduled for 8 a.m. Pacific time on Monday, on Friday of this week, the 14th. I am so interested to hear what he has to say about it. His voice has been one that has been with this game probably the longest, or certainly one of the longest within the online creator space. So I am very intrigued to see what his opinions are. But that said, keep an eye out. There could be some other things happening that day, and that is all I will say about that. But I hope all of you have a wonderful morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you all very soon. Peace.